AmITheA for reporting my daughter's teacher to the principal? My daughter is 6 and is grade 2 but only been remote until a few months ago, so she hasn't physically been in school for long. Recently she told me she didn't want her packed lunches anymore and what to eat what the other kids were eating. She had been not wanting to eat what were her favorite foods and opting for asking for pizza more. I asked her why she didn't to eat her favorite foods anymore, and she told me she wanted to be able to sit with the other students. I was shocked because I didn't know she wasn't sitting with the other students, and she told me it was because her teacher made her sit in the other room by herself during lunchtimes because she brought smelly foods. To be clear, growing up, I was also targeted by teachers who wouldn't let me bring shrimp or anything with garlic or onion because they hated the smell. So I try not to pack anything that could cause them to target my child, like spam sushi or egg fried rice. I was really upset because she is half Chinese, but she clearly looks Asian, and I felt it was my childhood trauma happening on her. I called up her homeroom teacher for a meeting, and the teacher said they didn't make her sit in the other room to eat, but my daughter told me to ask her best friend, who confirmed for me that yes, she had been. Another teacher confirmed her had seen her eating alone, and her homeroom teacher switched stories that she had, but it was because my daughter brought a persimmon to school and it was distracting the other kids because they thought she was eating a tomato and she didn't want her distracting the other students by having foreign food. She refused to believe it was inappropriate and said she didn't see anything wrong with sending her to eat by herself. I had to go to the principal and take my daughter to another homeroom to finish up the school year, because that teacher said it only happened once, despite my daughter swearing up and down it happened every few days for weeks before she told me. She told me specifically of a time she brought tomato egg stir-fry and a boy bullying her because it looked like blood, and the teacher sending her to eat in the other room rather than telling him to stop. My husband doesn't believe her, saying the teachers would have said something because sending her to eat by herself, but I don't think he understands because he is white. AmITheA for kicking my sister out? When my 42M daughter, May 14F, came out as lesbian a year ago, I completely fine with it. She has been dating Ali 14F for 8 months. They're great together and I'm completely supportive. My sister 38F has always been the golden child, and my parents threatened NC against me and my daughter if we didn't let her move in with us, as she couldn't pay rent anymore because she can't keep a job. She's lazy, and my parents enable her laziness and give her money. I reluctantly complied. So, 2 months later, here my sister is stuck on the concept that guys marry girls. No in between. She'll roll her eyes on disgust if Ali and May are holding hands or something, but that's about it. She doesn't say anything about it ever. Today, Ali and May were taking selfies in the game room and talking about the Pride Festival they went to last week. My sister barged in and started ranting about how ridiculous it is that she's dating a girl, and that love is only love if it's between a boy and girl. My daughter looked genuinely hurt. Cue me. I came upstairs and saw the look on my daughter's face, and I asked my sister to leave the room. I asked the girls what happened, and they explained it to me. I confronted my sister and she denied it. I pulled up the security camera feed on my phone. It picks up video and audio, not in bedrooms or bathrooms, and played it back to her shocked face. I told her to get the hell out of my house if she was going to treat my daughter like that. She packed her stuff and left within half an hour. My parents are furious at me, and they took my sister in. No one in my family is talking to me or my daughter, and I'm not sure I made the right call. AmITheA for telling my husband's ex-wife that I can't pay his child support for my stepdaughter? To make a long story short, my F25 husband M33 just walked out on us a little over a month ago. He completely just up and abandoned me. Our 5F and 18-month F children. He has an ex-wife 30SF and they have a 12-year-old daughter from their marriage. No formal custody involved, but we would usually get my stepdaughter every other weekend and my husband would pay his ex the child support every month on the first when he got paid. My husband's excuse for just leaving us in the dust was that I am damaged goods, and he couldn't hack it being a father anymore. He didn't feel any joy in parenting and wanted to live a free life, so he changed his number, blocked me on all social media, changed all of his passwords, and told his friends, family not to speak to me. It turned my entire life upside down. I've been a SOM since our eldest was born. Got my degree and we talked about me going back to the workforce once she entered kindergarten this year in the fall. But it was nothing set in stone. My husband literally gave me an allowance every week to buy groceries, pay bills, diapers, anything the kids needed, etc. I would always stash a little bit away. But he definitely was the breadwinner in our relationship. My husband's ex-wife messaged me earlier today asking if we could talk about something serious. I asked her what was up. She asked if I could pay her the amount of child support my husband usually gives her every month. On the first I curiously asked her how much because my husband never told me exactly what amount he gave her. I never really thought it was any of my business. She told me she needed the $900 he usually gives her because both she and her new husband are struggling to pay their bills and they rely on that child support to make their rent payment. And they were behind. I told her I couldn't do it because, truthfully, I can't. I'm still waiting to get an appointment so I can receive government benefits because with what little money I did have saved up, it's gone now after paying every single bill by myself. To keep a roof over mine and my kids' heads, make sure they're fed, etc. There is and will be no way I can spare almost $1,000 to my husband's ex-wife. She blew up my phone, calling me a piece of shit, a stupid bitch, saying she can understand why he left me, etc. Threatening to keep my stepdaughter away from me and my kids because we are bad influences. And that my stepdaughter is going to struggle because I can't fork over money I literally do not have. I tried apologizing, but it was no use. It just ended with her calling me more names. AmITheA here? I feel horrible that my husband has left us both high and dry. But I also have to look out for my own 2 kids. I'm literally skipping meals to make sure they have enough to eat and I'm scrambling to figure out how I'm going to survive without my husband's help now. Part of me is really conflicted, but I can't give his ex-wife what I don't have. AmITheA for calling Mill out on her allergies. For as long as I've been with my husband, Mill has been claiming she is deathly allergic to egg, ginger, and she can't have a lot of salt in her meals. So I've been actively avoiding these ingredients in meals I cook. She has even had allergic reactions to food she suspects has those ingredients. About a week ago I hosted a dinner for Sil's birthday and made Sil her favorite salted caramel mousse. It's easily one of the best things I make. This recipe has taken me years to make perfectly and I keep it a huge secret, but it has a lot of egg and a lot of salt in it. So keeping in line with Mill's dietary requirements, I make her a simple chalk caramel mousse with no eggs or salt in it. Dessert rocks around and I bring out a tray of the salted caramel mousse. Put it on the table and tell Mill, I'll be back with your mousse in a second. Don't eat this one. It's salted caramel. I go to the kitchen, come back and Mill has already taken a salted caramel mousse, which was meant for me, and is shoveling it into her face as quickly as possible. I yell, no Mill. It has egg and salt in it. She keeps eating and says, I know. But everyone always says it's so nice and I wanted to try it. A little bit won't hurt. She devours the entire mousse, which wasn't a small portion, and asks if there is any more because it was so yummy. I tell her no. There isn't anymore, but what's going on? I thought she was allergic to those ingredients. She tells me, well, she's technically not allergic, but she doesn't like the taste of egg. It makes her sick, so she just tells people she is allergic, and that way people don't make her food with those ingredients. She still eats cakes, pies, etc. Where she can't taste the ingredients. She just doesn't like to eat them if she can taste them. I tell her she shouldn't say she is allergic if she isn't. There is a big difference between not liking something and being allergic to something. I've always gone out of my way to avoid those ingredients in her food, and even purchased separate bowls and spoons to cook her food with to avoid cross-contamination. I've been substituting ingredients for years to ensure that I'm not feeding her something she is allergic to. She laughs and says it's not a big deal. Lots of people do it. She also told me I'm being a drama queen. I told her it is a big deal. She could have just told me she didn't like it. It would have saved me a fortune in substituting ingredients or making separate meals. Everyone at the table agreed that claiming to have an allergy when you're not allergic is a shitty thing to do. She sent me a message yesterday saying that I shouldn't have called her out in front of everyone. Now no one will take her seriously when she says she is allergic. I replied with, well, you're not allergic to them, so it doesn't really matter, does it? She texted my husband that she's not coming over unless I apologize to her for calling her out in front of everyone because I made her feel bad. AmITheA.